So here's my point, and listen quick. I'm gonna do a presentation as well, but so this is symbol, right? A symbol, right? You could say it's a one, you could say it's an eye, you could say it's a stick, you could say it's a line, but they say symbols are more powerful than words in memory. So it's something about these symbols that we want to learn. So obviously that's a stick, and even this is a L, obviously a stick, but then you see how even the same thing made the L. It was just two steps: line, then line. The L might be one of the easiest shapes to make: down, right. This and it's the same thing, but we call it a letter. So this is why symbols are more important than shapes, and then also I think symbols came before colors. So you might think blue, red, blah, blah came before seeing things. But I think seeing the thing came first. Why? Because everything that we are is odorless, tasteless, and senseless and keeps us alive. So we need water. Why is it so powerful that we don't taste it? We don't uh, smell it. We do feel it, but I believe that's from water starting. I mean, life starting in water anyways as microorganisms. So we feel water as a liquid though. We can say that. But we don't really taste it. We don't really smell it. It also doesn't really have a color. So this is how I knew that it's possible either colors or symbols came first, but either ways they're close, and it's probably symbols. Now the other thing, this is a dot, but if you keep shrinking it, it will literally be this, non-seeable. So that's the magic. At some threshold, things become seeable like this to our naked eye. Not smaller than this, obviously, but still seeable. So even when I'm pointing to nothing, nothing still isn't nothing because it's compatible to be seen with your eyes as long as you have a telescope to see through it. So this is where magic comes from when we say nothing and everything. Because why? I'm going to get back to it in a second, but just listen. We as humans are not God. We think we are God as humans, but we are not. So now where can we go from this? Well, that is our gift. So our gift would be imitation. It's exactly what it is, and you could also say it is not what it is not. So our gift would be we can actually walk around with the chemicals and more so the mind's equilibrium that helps us get closer to God or think we're God. But through our body and stuff, we would still think that's God no matter what we do. It's just that if we actually start to study what we do and think we are, then we'll understand the ratio. So for example, if someone picked up a rock and beat someone up with it and thought they were God, that's just the same as someone picking up a fist or picking up a stick or picking up a gun to kill someone because the chemicals in their brain came from anger. So this is what you need to know. The gods are really our emotions, thoughts, memory, and stuff like that because it's in every creature of any form, shape, color, sense, anything. And it's invisible as well, controlling the reality that we think is what it is. So when you see someone grabbing something or beating someone up, to the universe's eyes and all the universe's senses, it's still the same uh, material fabric. Like everything's still happening the same to the universe. This is why the sun was here before we're born and after we're born. But how come you're not going up to the sun and trying to arrest the sun for seeing and creating all this evil and allowing it to happen? So no matter what happens on this earth, no matter how evil it is, the sun is still going to keep spinning. So this shows you that all your evil isn't even supposed to be there because it's only there based on the time and space you gave it. So, in other words, your evil is your good. It's just you didn't convert it yet, and you're responsible for it still being evil. So that's the point. Because people are going to say, oh, why is the sun still spinning if everything's bad? Why did God not save everything? No, you are the problem, and it's so much of a problem and so powerful because as soon as you convert it to good, you're going to see it as so much of a blessing, so much of heaven. And then you're probably going to say you don't even deserve to feel this good. So this is why the bad is so oppressive that you can't even fight it, because when you realize heaven through that power, it's that good that you seem like you can't accept it. So basically you are powerful, and that's proof that you are powerful, that heaven and hell exist, because they both are there. So now, to go a little deeper, like I said, we're going to realize that yes, particles are invisible at some point if you shrink this, and then they become this as soon as you see it. So even when you see nothing like this whiteness, that's not nothing to the universe. Since the universe created non-physical things to create physical, or non-living to living things, that means even looking at nothing to your mind isn't even nothing. So that's the curse, really. So now what's even the opposite? The opposite of that is even a curse, like I just said. God. God would be the everything as everything and being everything. Not, oh, I'm a mortal being with not everything who wants everything through desire. So now that's the only reason he's going to think of everything. And then when he does that, he's going to go further on to only think of himself as God, rather than just absorbing everything possible, which you can't even, which is so hard to even put into one concept or bubble, because you need so much time clearly to understand everything, and so many different days, seconds, weeks, just to have time for new answers to come out. So now, to finish this, we're going to end with the presentation, but then this is the step before that presentation. So water, HO, oxygen to hydrogen at some chemical zoom in with the scope. So now, why is water in a cup the same as pretty much water in the ocean? Maybe water in the ocean is obviously dirty. There's plastic, other chemicals in there, atoms, right? But the point is, if you pour this water on an ant, which is born today, and humans are born today, all types of creatures are born today. Souls, apparently, they say, aren't affected by time. But the point is, why is something born to ant today? But also, why can we pour water on it right now if we wanted to? And then it moves its limbs for it. It's so powerful. It does all this stuff for it. So now I'm going to say, if someone pushed you off a cliff and you fell and died, would you say you pushed yourself off the cliff? No, you wouldn't. But your body correspondence would die to that push. So this is the magic of being living. You don't give yourself birth or death, but you can, for the same reason you can't. And also, someone else could abuse you, and the sun, no one's going to save you in this time form only, basically. So yes, time is one unit. So in other words, time is the past, present, and future. But it's really one. It's really more like this, a circle, but people want to see it like that. So, and on top of that, something created time, right? So, you have to look at this thing that created time as also without time. Time is in this, but it's not acting like this. So, for example, if this was you as a human, or this is your wife having a baby, and your baby has emotions, thoughts, and a mind or whatever, then now you could understand that you had to give birth to a baby that had thoughts, emotions, and a mind that it uses in its own language. So before time was created, time wasn't being used in its own language. It was more so like the entirety of time was just one small part of whatever stage the universe was at before it let time go in its own matters to express itself in its own language. But the point is, if time was created by something, then there's something even bigger than time. So now you can understand that most likely, most things you are drawn to are already there for a reason. So, but that's not the point. Like I said, um, the point is inside our bodies is a whole. If it's not a universe, if it's not planets, it's a land. It's something where things are dying and living, being eaten. Energy is being converted because none is destroyed or created. So this is where we must go to really solve life. And I figured this out because, like I said in this past page, um, we are. I learned that our job of speaking is actually to prove things. So this is why no matter where you go, you'll kind of realize that we're using words of different sounds and unique things that aren't the same. Now we do that as humans more often through words. We're already doing it without words. Even using the same gestures, sounds, we were already doing it. So now what does this prove that human beings are supposed to do? It proves that, yeah, what I just said, we're supposed to prove. So I just realized this whole lecture was on proving, and my whole understanding from my learning was proving. So I literally did what I learned, and then I wouldn't even use it as proof because we are born to do that. So that's not really something that we're supposed to be, let's say, bragging about in terms of individuality. So, yeah, exactly. Um, that's why when you say um, someone is fast, technically you already knew they were fast. So that's why it was an explanation to a second person to understand. Because you have to technically repeat something that is exactly the same to explain it to somebody. And if you weren't, then it's fine. You could still be corresponding with yourself and knowing who you are. But that wouldn't be the same as looking at material and saying it as it presents and knowing where your unique energy goes. Because, like I said, what if you were to uniquely present something without a pattern and without planning, really? Yes, you could remember yourself. Yes, it could be a math, but it's more likely not to be. But yes, it's 100% doable, and maybe it's better. But yeah, like I said, so it's not the object that's magical anymore. We have to be the magic. We have to program our mind. We have to program this brain and the body, because the brain kind of controls like what we make an embodiment as, and then the body kind of controls what we make the non-physical as within our brain. So for example, if you go to the beach all day and you spend your feet in the water, then your brain will have a lot of feet in water feelings. So that's how you're supposed to understand it. And you see how I use the same words for you to get the message out of it? That is what I'm talking about when it comes to life. That is the answer. We are repeating words to teach them, not changing them. I don't tell you eat food by staring at the stars at night and then you'll never have to eat again. No, I tell you eat food by chewing on this apple, but technically chewing on an apple is eating food, like in the literal synonym world of oh, these things have similar meanings, but don't actually appear the same through senses. So there you go. Our job is to prove things and to prove it while using the same things in a duplication manner. So we say this is a fresh apple, and then we show multiple apples. But the difference is, other beings, maybe on other planets, they would be like, maybe this is a fresh apple, and then all the other, see, you're expecting me to say apple again here. That is what I'm trying to tell you, the magic of human life. So we prove things to speak from our innate nature. It's not we have the answers already and everything's unique answer and we're displaying that. No, it's we are equilibrium with the unique, ever changing, but we can only present it as using the same things. So when you walk around and you see someone might be a soul of a different creature or a certain quality or quantity, we all look about the same size, same heads, 2 ears, 2 noses, 2 legs. But if you zoom in through microscopes, light will tell you how beautiful everything actually is. If you zoom in on every human being, clearly they are not technically the same. Even if we call it species, that really only comes from our eyes and the corresponding light that made it available to even swim through this matter. So yeah, it's very important because something about you and your mind has to always be in your most happy, most healthy mood, and then your body needs to be able to like do the same. It has to either do the same or do the equilibrium opposite. Either ways, everything has to reach an equilibrium. So if your brain has to feel the best and basically you have to control like to feel the best through everything you do, then your body would probably be the same way or the opposite, maybe feel more like bad through the body, but your brain is always good. Or so like this is the thing. I would say feel good through the body, through the brain, feel good through the body, but more specifically balance, because you do have to feel bad and feel good to understand what things are. So now you see how deep it is. If you have to use the same body to have a bad day and a good day, and then only after both of those days you can understand what balance is and the other two meanings, which are good and bad, which are on opposite ends of balance, then that is where you understand things. So we started from thinking everything's the same, and now we still should, but it's all about, like I said, equilibrium and balance. So now eventually we're slowly getting different meanings that clearly to us are the same, but since we now are trying to get more answers, we're slowly changing meanings so that things don't seem the same anymore. So yeah, people only start changing things at a natural, breathable, digestible way when they literally are moving that way. So yeah, the next upgrade only comes when they feel satisfied or bored of this upgrade, or maybe need more money, whatever it is. It technically all comes from a human body. That's the genius about understanding how humans rule this earth, because no matter what happens to anything, you'll start to realize technically comes from a, let's just say, a creator or a piece of energy that converts into a whole bunch of things that those things consider different among each other, even though they're really one thing. So that's what I'm trying to say.